You're listening to Comic Reflections. I'm Nicholas Prom.
And I'm Jeff Barnhart.
All right, Jeff. So, what do we want to start with this week?
Um, we have a bunch of selection of comics. Let's start left to right. Master of Kung Fu.
Okay. So, Master of Kung Fu number 37 and numbers 37 and 66. What do you want to say about these?
They're very complex stories. A lot of stuff's going on, and only having two issues and all these characters that have importance to it, and I don't know the backstory, so it was rather interesting to be confused while reading a comic book.
Right. Well, I mean, it's drawing from the characters of Sax Rohmer.
Right.
I
knew those characters.
Right. But Shang-Chi is a Marvel original, and Doug Munch, who wrote both of these, I want to say he wrote the whole series. He's no slouch. I think he's certainly capable of complexity. And we get some nice.
I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm saying it was interesting to say, oh, well, there's a lot of stuff going on here.
Yeah. What do you want to talk about story-wise with these? I felt like number 37 was this with the whole circus freak element. It totally reminded me of the Circus of Dr. Lao.
Yeah, which I barely know anything about, but yeah. It was interesting, and was it a ripoff, you think, or an homage?
I think it's probably an homage.
Yeah. Sorry, thank you for telling me how to pronounce that.
Oh, that wasn't.
No.
It was not a passive aggressive thing. I was just.
No, I didn't mean for it. Yeah, that was bizarre, and I had no idea where they're going with that. So then they ended like a kung fu episode.
Oh, the show Kung Fu.
On,
yeah. And of course this series came out definitely picking up on the success of Kung Fu and the martial arts craze of the 70s. So yeah. But I loved how each of the circus characters, they had their own different take that really didn't match up at all with the story of their someone was out to kill them.
Mm-hmm.
And that is also what reminded me of the movie The Seven Faces of Dr. Lao with was it Tony, not Tony Curtis,
Tony Randall.
Tony Randall, thank you. I always do that in my head. But Tony Randall played I think 6 or 7 characters in that movie, and he was terrific, but all of them had this different angle on life, and the whole thing was a metaphor for living a full life and stuff. And so I thought it was interesting. I think it was a really cool homage to that. Now I'm gonna just make fun of you a little bit. Mm-hmm. So, but what the number 66? I don't remember much about that story.
That was a confusing one. There's a bunch of characters. Oh yeah, somebody from your past, and now he's a bad guy. But what's going on with this? And
I remember that pirate with like the hook hand or whatever. Totally made me think of like a Conan type adversary.
Or it's like the evil villain from a Kentucky Fried Movie, A Fistful of Yen. And
I haven't seen the Kentucky Fried Movie.
No, you should.
I like Joe. Is it Joe Dante's?
No, it's people made Airplane.
Right, I'm trying to remember.
Zuckers.
Not Joe Dante. It's the guy who made the Thriller music video.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to remember his other movies. I really enjoy him. He did American Werewolf London, the guy who directed Animal House.
Mm-hmm.
Why am I just blanking on the name?
I'm not sure. I forget what.
Okay. That's going to bug me all day. I'm usually really good with this stuff, but...
To the internet.
To the internet. Later.
Let's go on to the next one. Omega.
Omega the Unknown. And this is number 1.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a short-lived series from the 70s. Steve Gerber writing, co-written with Mary Screenes and illustrated by the great Jim Mooney, who was one of Bob Kane's major ghost artists. But yeah, what do you want to say about this story?
I was going to say, was there a number 2?
Oh,
it didn't grab me, and Although it's interesting, the little kid and all
Oh,
that,
Michael,
and
was it John Michael?
I suppose
I think that's what.
given um, it didn't stick with me. It's kind of reverse kind of Billy Batson, Captain Marvel type thing where the kid is something else, but it's
Yeah,
really kind of.
yeah. Omega, this alien character who is mute. There's some connection with he and I think it's John Michael or
Hmm.
whatever the boy's name is. Um, there's a mystery, and John Michaels like learns that he was raised by robots, and we see his parents killed in a car wreck, and his mother's like robot head speaks to him before it explodes. This comic is a total trip. You don't know what's going on here. So to me, there's a draw to like, okay, I want to read the rest of this series and figure out what in the world is going on and what's the deal with Omega? Where is he from? Um, but the fact that it was such a short-lived series means you're not the only person who felt that way, clearly. Um, um, but yeah, I mean, it only ran 9 issues, and then there was like dangling plot lines that were resolved in I think a two-parter in issue of the Defenders. Um, and Steve Gerber didn't even get to write that; it was taken care of
Hmm.
uh, after the fact by somebody
That was
else.
nice of them to do that.
Well, yeah, I think it was one of those series like it didn't find enough of an audience to save the book, but there was enough of people like
Hmm.
we want to know what happened with this that they kind of resolved it in the Defenders, um,
Hmm.
and I think that was probably the right choice to do it, as opposed
Hmm.
to a book like the Avengers or something, another kind of cult uh, series
Hmm.
that's well fondly remembered, but not one of the top books from Marvel at the
Right.
time. So
Yeah. It had its points. I mean, none of these. Don't get me wrong. None of these comics are bad. They're just you got to have a they all can't be super perfect, and you can't be interested in everything,
well,
and
right, and
they're interesting. They're a wonderful look at the time and what people were thinking back then, and
yeah,
which was one of the
yeah, and
great things about looking at something from 40 years ago, which
sure, that's crazy. But and Steve Gerber's voice is very unique at the time. He brings this really existentialist, um, anti-establishment viewpoint to many of the things that he wrote, and he's definitely a strong voice of what's going on in the '70s. Um, so yeah, I like it. I think I want to get the trade of Omega so I can read this
okay,
because it's out there.
okay. Um, Next one is Metamorpho, the Element Man.
Yeah. Now this is a Metamorpho's reintroduction in the series' first issue special, and this is number 3. Um, let's see, Metamorpho. I'm looking at my notes. Um, so yeah, Bob Haney wrote it, and Ramona Fradon, a rare female artist in comics, certainly at the time, she originated Metamorpho in the '60s, and it's cool to see her coming back to her creation or co-creation in this book that's kind of relaunching Metamorpho.
Hmm.
So what do you want to say about this story,
I
though?
thought it was interesting they really tore up Washington D.C. It's kind of
Oh yeah, this story, the freak and the billion-dollar phantom. Now, when I first started reading this story, I thought the villain was the Gentleman Ghost,
hmm.
who was Hawkman, villain,
Hmm.
and I think he fought Batman sometimes too. But um, no, it's this weird French nobleman who betrayed America or something.
Hmm.
And I don't know, it's really strange. The Metamorpho supporting cast, and this is the book that kind of introduced me to these characters. I had seen Metamorpho in like World's Finest team ups or like
Hmm.
he's helping the Justice League. But the whole thing with his girlfriend, Sapphire, and then her father, Simon Stagg, the tycoon, and Java, the ape man,
Yeah.
this is so weird.
Hmm.
It made me think of the goofiness of like Plastic Man's
Hmm.
supporting characters. Um,
He drives a Rolls Royce with a gold grill with a dollar sign on
Oh, Simon
it.
Stagg. Yeah, it's like Richie Rich all grown up
Hmm.
and mean.
Yeah. But yeah, it was fun. Not as, I mean, blowing up the Capitol Dome and um,
I'm sure.
metamorphizing all over the place. It was pretty fun.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, a metamorpho can, change his physical form into any elements and, what have you. So he turns himself into a car or becomes diamond hard or, you know, uh, becomes slides to escape things or whatever. There's a lot of fun things that you can do with him. And he's he's not like a Plastic Man character because he's kind of this gruff kind of outlook, and he doesn't like that he's the Element Man. So to me he has like a shades of Ben Grimm.
Hmm.
So I look at him, he and Sapphire having kind of a Ben and Alicia kind of dynamic. Um,
I wouldn't complain. He has a nice
I
girlfriend.
know,
He can
and
turn into
yeah,
all kinds of stuff.
but it's funny though because her father is always trying to use him or get rid of him, but he can't.
Yeah.
Um,
What does he want? He's got a man who can turn him into anything. So, wouldn't that be great?
well,
I
right. I
guess.
mean, avarice. Simon Stagg is never content with what he has, even though he has
Is
everything.
he waiting out for Superman? I don't know.
I don't know, but I don't remember what the point the villain, the French ghost guy, wanted. But this is just kind of a fun story, very light, cartoony. Um, but I think that's the way Metamorpho in this setting with these characters is supposed to feel. So I think it's genuine. So it's pretty cool.
Let's go to Luke Cage, Power Man.
All right, so we've got Power Man number 17, 18, and 19. Len Wein wrote these issues, and George Tuska did the art. A big improvement on the previous arc that we looked at in the last episode. Um, I
Yeah.
forget who was writing it, but previously.
Then, oh, okay.
Previously, Len Wein's writing it
All
right
right.
now, or at this point. But I
Looks like
remember
his wife was a colorist.
that's right, Glennis Wein, um, who was Len's wife at the time, um, was a colorist in comics and is. So, but yeah. So, what do you want to talk about the story though?
Um, First time I seen cottonmouths, which are poison snakes, which I used to hunt at my on a farm lake and use as a
In
weapon. And,
North Carolina?
yeah. And I thought that was interesting. And there was a character named Cottonmouth, and he looks reptilian.
Yeah.
So and I don't know, that was kind of fun.
I do like that they sent snakes in a box to
Hmm.
send like a warning to Cage.
Well, it wasn't a warning. It was an invitation.
Oh, that's right. Because they
And
wanted him to be part of their criminal organization.
hmm and which has hilarious
I
consequences.
love how he takes care of the snakes because they can't pierce his skin. He's got
Hmm.
bulletproof skin,
Yeah.
but
So
he still
he,
jumps like snakes.
yeah. No, he says, "Holy Christmas," said no one ever.
Said Luke Cage.
Yeah. But oh man. But it's written for kids, and I would have said something different. I think.
Yeah.
Snake's
Well, when you
cool.
read comics and I would see people exclaim, "Cripes, look out!" Whatever.
Hmm.
I'm like, those are kind of groaners because you know what they're trying to say, and
Hmm.
it's just like that's not even a bad
Yeah.
word. Just say it.
Hmm.
I don't like made up words that are swear substitutes.
Do you not like Great Caesar's Ghost?
Well, that's different. That's like, jumping Jehoshaphat. I like some of those exclamations, but I like when Luke Cage says "Holy Christmas." I think that's cool.
Hmm.
That's almost as signature to Luke Cage as Great Caesar's Ghost is to Perry White. So
Although I would love to be able to curse like Yosemite Sam, razzing, frazzing. I love that. That is so great.
the one comics explanation or exclamation that I really dislike a lot was Namor. He would always shout "Imperious Rex" like at surprise or whatever. I'm like,
Hmm.
it's like, what is that? You just say it at like
Yes.
it doesn't. It's like a weird like it sounds like Tourette's. Like, what is the meaning of this phrase at this point when
Maybe
you're saying it.
it's Imperial King. Is that what that means? Imperial.
Roughly,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
It's like,
yeah.
yes, we know you're the king of
Uh,
Atlantis, Namor, but
yeah. Oh, Imperious Rex. The toast is done. Or something.
yeah, but all the
Uh,
time, and I'm like, I,
uh,
that's my one of my only complaints about Namor because
hmm.
he's just a fascinating character. But
I don't. His wings neat.
on the feet,
Yeah, that's just kind of weird. And
you know, they're gills.
oh, that's even weirder.
Yeah,
I wonder if there was an explanation that someone gave or something.
it's one of those things that they had to come up with later because a lot of Golden Age stuff just doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
And so when they revived him, like, let's make the wings gills, because why would an amphibious man have wings on his feet?
Yeah. Well, why would they look like? Why would gills look like wings?
Right? I don't know. But back anyway about Luke Cage.
Uh, Okay. Well, I
I
guess
like
we're
the
not going
issue
to.
where he meets Iron Man.
I was going to say, I hope I don't spoil anything for anybody, but yeah, Iron Man is a cool character. The his I'm forgetting, there's rays. What is it
The
called?
repulsor
The
rays.
repulsor rays. I know they freaked out Daredevil. It says, oh, and you hear and Daredevil hears repulsor rays aimed at us. Says, well, I'm not going to get in this fight. It's just, wow. I don't know. They don't seem that impressive to me, but everybody's impressed by them.
Well, I
So,
mean, it's the implication is that they are, powerful beams of force.
mhm.
So I guess the repulsor rays are impressive. I mean, it's an
Yeah.
invention of comics. I
Right.
mean,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah. But I'm just underwhelmed by it. But what if they, you know, what if he had a gun? But Daredevil wouldn't be scared, but he's just scared of repulsor rays.
well,
It's
Daredevil's not supposed to be scared of anything. The man without fear.
right, right. But well, he had
He's
great
averse to
respect.
danger. There we go.
Yeah,
Oh,
man.
but I like that story where someone comes to Luke Cage posing as an employee of Tony Stark's, like, oh, we want you to try and rob the place to test the security measures.
Hmm.
But really, he wants Luke Cage to distract Iron Man so he can steal this armor.
It's actually a clever line. I liked it as well. Yeah, and you're surprised if this universe actually existed, it would happen all the time.
Sure.
You know.
Oh, absolutely.
And I'm surprised it's not used more in comics. And
Yeah. But it was Luke Cage being the hero for hire was in this particularly unique position to do that because most people wouldn't go to your where do you look up your average superhero? Luke is in the phone book, so
that is funny.
and he's got guys that are coming to try and mess with him all the time. His office is a shambles.
Hmm.
So it's really cool, and I think this is the issue where he chooses the name Power Man.
Hmm.
This whole story arc is where he takes the name, and it's interesting that the meeting between he and Tony Stark is really cool.
Yeah, nice vibe, nice dialogue, liked it.
Yeah,
Um,
and the team up between them was neat.
but isn't Luke Cage good enough? That's a cool name. I was Luke Cage.
Yeah, I mean that is an awesome name.
Yeah.
Um,
Let's
yeah,
see. Let's go to Omac.
we want to talk about Omac #2, written and illustrated by the great Jack Kirby. I remember, what is this deal with this issue? That these guys, Omac invades, is looking for somebody, and there's this guy, a rich guy, who's like rents out a city just to
Hmm.
party,
Yeah,
and
I hate
he's
when that happens.
yeah,
Uh, yeah, it was. All right. I really like Jack Kirby. Disappointed with this, and that's what hurts more. If Phantom Menace was a one of, and no one ever heard of it, the hatred towards that movie would be nothing. It'd still be a bad movie,
right.
but it was a disappointment of it.
Oh, okay.
And when somebody's well, I guess I don't know. George Lucas used to be good, I guess, but when you expect more from Jack Kirby.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw the movie Argo, and
I need to see that.
Jack Kirby is in it. They don't. And so and he just cartoons hands him the cartoons, which are very important in the movie.
Right, the concept art that Jack Kirby created for that fake movie in real life, and I've seen it. It's beautiful.
Yeah. And it's very important to the movie, and it's a talisman almost. And Save today even. But they don't mention his name, or I didn't catch his name. I need to watch it again, but it's like, oh, here it is, and he goes. They should have said Jack Kirby,
I
dum dum dum, or
Yeah,
something.
well,
And
right. I did notice he is in the. I did look it up on IMDb. He is credited. Somebody plays Jack Kirby.
hmm,
It's not an uncredited role. So,
well, I'll give him that then.
did the
But it
guy
was
look
okay,
like Jack Kirby?
kind of, yeah,
Oh, there you go.
yeah. Not a good movie. Good parts to it. There is it plays some rock and roll music, and it's supposed to be dramatic, but it just slowed everything down. And then some of the music came after the events happened, and
Oh, so it was anachronistic.
yeah, it was just wasn't great. But yeah, if you're interested in the time period, it's worth watching. So
Okay. So, getting back to what is your Star Wars analogy, and then to Omac?
okay, when I see Jack Kirby, I expect super awesomeness. But
Okay.
I didn't get super. It was really well drawn. I love the way. I still love the way that Kirby draws weapons and machinery, and
Yeah.
it's just really wonderful.
Yeah.
And well, he's a great comic book artist, and okay, I was just underwhelmed by the story.
Yeah.
And
Omac is a weird concept, and I would like to go back and read more of the old issues. I've only read the first two. Um, and then I've read like a revival thing from recent years. So I like the concept, and with Buddy Blank and Brother Eye and this guy who just becomes this super soldier. Um, but it's weird, and it it takes some digesting, I feel.
mhm.
Again, this is totally typical of Jack Kirby's time at DC in the early 70s. He created some really cool stuff, but it's really Mondo Bizarro.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm not a big fan of his Jimmy Olsen. I love the Silver Age so much. Anything else pales. But
right.
there's some good stuff. The thing with Don Rickles, I don't
Oh,
know.
that's right. They did have a weird. I was just reading about that. There's an issue of Jimmy Olsen where a character that's basically Don Rickles shows up and is kind of involved in what with the whole thing that what was Jimmy going on Jimmy Olsen the stuff with Project Cadmus
Yeah.
and
Well, there's a character who looked like Don Rickles but was mild mannered,
yeah,
and I'm a huge Don Rickles fan,
sure,
but it was just I don't know. It was just goofy instead of
yeah,
being wasn't that good. And I don't know.
there was another character that Kirby created around that time. I think he was in Mr. Miracle or the Forever
Mm,
People or one of those books. Funky Flashman, and he was this like kind of business guy, and he was kind of a sleazy pitchman kind of guy
mm-hmm.
that was and is a parody of Stan Lee.
Oh,
Yeah,
that I need to
a little bit
look
of
at that.
bitterness
Yeah.
on Jack
Mm.
Kirby's side, but
There's
um,
a lot of bitterness in comic books.
well, sure. People
There is.
work so hard, and you get recognized by the fans, but the payout and the retirement doesn't work out so well.
I think that's probably true of all the arts and entertainment.
Yeah,
It is
you know,
people treated badly.
yeah. I mean, and Jack Kirby, I think, will be remembered for all time, probably as the greatest comic book artist who ever lived.
Yeah, I don't. I can't think who would be close. So.
Yeah, I mean, there are guys that I like a lot,
Mhm.
but Kirby comes before
Mhm.
everybody. Um, but yeah, I mean, he's recognized now, but but yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, even Noble Homer nodded once in a while.
that's right.
Let's
You
do.
like that quote a lot.
I did. Did I use it before?
Yes, it's
I'm
okay.
old. I repeat myself. Sorry.
I do it too. So we've got a couple issues of I think it's Detective Comics.
Yes.
Yes, number 367 and 369. Now both of these are illustrated by the recently departed Carmine Infantino, who was also very well known for the Flash, the Silver Age Flash
Mhm.
stories. Most of those were done by Infantino. He did Adam Strange. He created the Human Target. Just someone who had a great longevity in the comics industry and a huge body of work and impact. So, um, but yeah,
Okay. Um,
Want to talk about Batgirl breaks up the dynamic duo?
Yeah, of course she doesn't, and there's always
Well,
a
right.
thing. Yeah, and the meme of Superman being mean or Jimmy Olsen being mean to Superman. It's always something else totally. They're not really being mean or something. Well, sometimes they were, but hey, if you hang
I
out with Superman, things will happen. So,
right.
if he wants to have a practical joke, let him. So,
Yeah, but this is one of the. It's only a few issues after the introduction of the Barbara Gordon Batgirl.
1967.
Yeah. Um,
Was
yeah.
that a TV or was that
The TV series kind of they wanted to have a Batgirl, and so there had been a Batgirl,
hmm
and there was Kathy Kane was the Batwoman, and I can't remember who the
hmm
Batgirl was, but um, they wanted to have Batgirl incorporated in the
hmm
show, and so they kind of it they brought this new Batgirl into the comics, and so Babs
hmm
Gordon was kind of a spawn of the popularity of the show.
yeah. Oh, anything that gets Yvonne Craig.
Oh, I love Yvonne Craig.
Do you know what she did in Star Trek? She is the original Green Dancing Girl.
You're kidding. The
I am
Green
not.
Woman. That's Yvonne Craig.
Yes.
What were they called? What was the planet they were from? The
I
Green
don't.
Women.
I'm not sure.
Ah, I'm a
I don't know.
terrible nerd. I used
Yeah.
to know this.
Yeah.
Um,
We're worthless and weak.
but let's talk about the story of Batgirl breaks up the dynamic
Oh,
duo.
there was a reason for doing it because he's ill and they're so
Batman's ill.
yeah.
That's right. And Robin so kind of plays along like to kind of quarantine Batman until he gets well, kind of
hmm
thing. And Batman thinks that Robin's got a crush on Batgirl or that he's gonna leave him, and
hmm
so it's just kind of weird. But
Yeah, it's goofy fun and
yeah,
I enjoyed it.
I love
Yeah.
the backup stories in both of these with the elongated man.
Yes, they were good.
That's one that another Infantino creation, the elongated man. I think in this issue, uh, Neil Adams does the art.
And it's quite good.
Oh yeah, I always love those detective stories. I love how it's he and his wife are always just going to have fun, and then Ralph stumbles upon a mystery. His nose waggles when he smells a mystery. I love
Yeah,
that.
and it's very dramatic the way they put the action. It is appropriate for an elongated man, and this is the way it should be done.
Yeah,
And
and he's definitely my favorite stretchy superhero. I mean, Plastic Man is very cartoony and silly,
mhm,
but Ralph Dibny is he's a detective, and he's serious.
mhm,
He has fun, but he makes sense in a world next to Batman and the Justice League. Whereas Plastic Man, it's hard to incorporate him, well.
mhm.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. That's it wouldn't work. But I like the original Plastic Man better. This is good though.
yeah,
So, and um, okay, the next one is number 367 in 1967. When there's a will, there's a sleigh.
that's right.
And
What's the basic plot of this story again?
oh, there's it doesn't matter. The villain has the worst mustache since Hitler. It does.
Isn't it kind of it's more one of those twirly mustaches.
No, it's like I don't know.
It's like a handlebar kind of deal.
Yeah, it's worn by no human being ever. I don't think. Um, quite frankly, I forgot what happened, but it's kind of forgettable.
Yeah. I think the
Uh,
elongated man is a story is really the highlight of this issue.
mm,
An
he's
infant,
going after an elongated man villain, or so they think. 'Cause-
they think somebody else has gotten a hold of the Gingold compound and he thinks someone's framing him for these crimes.
mhm,
I think it was just a robbery or something like that.
yeah,
Um,
but it was well done and cool.
but
It's
yeah, somebody set it up just like it to make it look like they had stretchy powers, and nobody had gotten a hold of his his secret that gives him his
mhm,
power. So I thought that was pretty cool.
yes.
And let's see, where do we want to move on to now?
Oh, I guess the last ones are Metal Men.
Oh yeah. So yeah, we got Metal Men issues 7 and 8, and number 32. Now 7 and 8 are both written by Bob Conniger, who wrote a lot of the war comics at DC. He wrote a lot of stuff, but I remember he wrote a lot of the great Sergeant Rock stories.
Hmm.
Um, and excuse me, art by Ross Andrew, uh, at least on the 7 and 8. Um, but yeah, what do we want to talk about these stories?
Um, they're delightful.
I love the Metal Men. Doc Magnus is this curmudgeon scientist who can't be
Mhm.
bothered to talk, to deal with anybody. But he's created these robots, these 5 or 6 robots. They all have these very distinct personality traits that each one like exemplifies a particular trait, and
Mhm.
they all have like shape changing abilities and things that are kind of they have the property of the metal thereof. Tina is made of platinum, Mercury, of course, gold, lead, iron, and tin. Um,
And Tin has a girlfriend named Nameless. So,
yeah,
um, well, and one of the recurring themes is Tina is in love with Doc, who hates that a beautiful platinum robot is in love with him.
yeah.
And
I mean, I don't think he'd be interested in a human woman, to be honest.
yeah,
He's one of those guys. He's just so stuck in I'm creating things for science. That he
mhm.
can't be bothered to deal with people, whether he created them or not. Uh, um, but I love the story where the metal men take the blind boy uh,
Oh, that was sweet.
to space
Yeah,
because he can't do anything with other kids, but he gets to meet the metal men and
yeah,
and go. He was like a blind orphan too. It was
yeah,
really
yeah.
sad. Like,
Hmm.
but I love that story. It was very sweet. Um,
I enjoyed the Metal Women Blues, where
oh
the metal men want women, so
yeah,
so he makes them women,
they're
and
all jealous of Tin because Tin has a girlfriend.
hmm
And so they have Doc Magnus build female counterparts to each of them. And boy, they get more than they bargained for
yeah,
because
hilarity ensues.
they can't be bothered to they keep showing up the metal men at everything they do.
Yeah, and they're really nice. Then they became mean to them, and it's just
Yeah.
um, and there was Bonanza incident at the end.
Oh, can you explain?
All right, and there used to be a Western TV show called
Well, I
Bonanza with the
remember the show.
Cartwright boys, and anytime a woman would fall in love with a Cartwright and vice versa,
Mm-hmm.
that woman would die at the end of the show.
Oh,
So, so it's
that seemed to
that
happen 50% of the time on Star Trek.
yeah, well, they had to because it would destroy the dynamic that
Well,
they
sure.
had. But um, you wanted to make sure that these guys are real men. They're interested in women, and so you couldn't
Right.
have them totally as sexual and not pay attention. So yeah, that's the difference between movies and TV shows in real life is that
Sure.
yeah, changing the dynamics of a show or comic book
Yeah.
is fraught with danger. Sometimes it works, most of the time it does not.
Oh yeah, like in the A Team, the female character that
Hmm.
would kind of be around the A Team never lasted more than a season. You
Hmm.
notice that?
Right.
Papard drove them away. Do you know that?
Ah, he hated them.
Yeah,
So
he didn't want anybody around. Not a nice man, the George Papard. Great
yeah, I'm
actor.
sad to hear that, but
Yeah, but yeah, he was so jealous of Mr. T, because Papard was this just great
mhm,
film actor and then he's second playing second fiddle to this wrestler character
mhm.
who's you
Yeah,
know
he was the most important cultural artifact of the 20th century.
to you, but I like Mr. T.
I do too. I love Mr. T. He's great, but it's extraordinary.
Yeah.
It's that such a man is a hero to little kids,
Oh yeah.
and any other time in history, it'd have been this bizarre villain.
Yeah, no, it was definitely the right. person at the right time. It's just a weird coalition.
And supposedly he's a nice guy.
Yeah.
So,
He likes his privacy, but he's a nice person, is what I heard too. So, but yeah, what about I love in this Metal Men story. I think it's number 33, or 32, excuse me, where they get their female counterparts, but also they go to war or battle with these female Amazon
and
robots.
if I had not known that they had not told me they were female, I would not have known.
Yeah, they're pretty stocky.
Stocky and ugly, and just not really
Yeah.
feminine at all. So
Yeah, but then the Metal Men's girlfriends were all very feminine.
yeah,
You got to have some
they're
contrast
all
there.
Baba Boomy. So,
Yeah.
which is the way it's supposed to be in comics.
Yes. I've heard which. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I've had somebody years ago complain to me like, why is every woman in comics shape have that hourglass figure? And it's like, you know what? So every man has that perfectly cut physique. It's fantasy. Unless you're old, no one is paunchy in comics. Sorry.
Yeah.
Or average looking. It's fiction. You have to live with it. It goes on both ways.
And it goes with every fairy tale and every myth. It's either extraordinarily beautiful or extraordinarily ugly. There's no average people.
Right. I mean, who wants to read about the average, the mundane? These are supposed to be larger than life, otherworldly kinds of things. So,
yeah. Plus, it's fan service. You got to have that.
Totally.
Unless it's too stupid.
Yeah.
That gets irritating.
So I think we've got one more comic. We've got this, what is it?
The Phantom Stranger.
Oh, yes, The Phantom Stranger. Number 31 from 1974. Phantom Stranger story is written by Arnold Drake with really interesting art by Jerry Talowak.
He did Sergeant Rock comics.
Yes, he did. He may have done the Haunted Tank as well. Oh, the Unknown Soldier, that's what it is.
Yeah, and the Haunted Tank.
I love the Haunted Tank.
Yeah.
Sorry. Well,
yeah, I did. But it's a weird, unique drawing style, and I have no idea how to explain to our listening audience how unique it is.
It's similar to, I feel like, the Spanish artist Alex Nino, who was a contemporary at the time in the 70s. So if anyone's familiar with Nino's art, you're like, oh, yeah. Yeah, there are similarities. But yeah, the story I thought was pretty cool. This soldier of fortune or something becomes a junkie. He's a traitor to America, and he becomes a junkie, and he's like a tool to these, I think what it is, communist Chinese or something. And anyway, the Phantom Stranger kind of shows up and teaches him the errors of his ways,
And there's this camp full of captive people.
And the backup story with the Black Orchid.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, I like that one better than the preceding story.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was a little more fun. It was more dynamic. Sheldon Mayer wrote that, and we got art by Tony DeZuniga, who was best known for art on Jonah Hex and I want to say like Arak, Son of Thunder, but I'm not sure if that's right. But anyway, and he passed away this last year.
Oh.
But yeah, I thought the Black Orchid story was cool. Not enough cool and interesting female superheroines, and I thought that was kind of neat. But yeah, she rescues these people that were duped into coming and working at this mine on an island, and they're basically kept as slaves. So she shows up as their liberator. Pretty cut and dry, but a cool story.
Jerry Taylock did this Unknown Soldier, which was one of those when you read a comic book when you're very young, and the images are just imprinted upon you. And,
Sure.
And I haven't been able to find it again, but this German officer invents time travel where he can go into time and back, and with regrettable results. But it's really fascinating, and I want to read it again, and I don't know which one it is, so I guess I have to buy the book.
Yeah, I'll keep my eyes peeled for any Unknown Soldier stuff, but I think that's probably about it for today. Why don't we go ahead and wrap that up
Yeah.
then, Jeff?
Oh, yeah, sure.
So, all right, this is Comic Reflections. Thanks for listening.